Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Monday morning market review here at GoPro Trading Academy. It's Ian Giffen presenting live from the beautiful Southern Cape on a lovely Monday morning. So I hope your trading challenge is going well. It's not been easy times. In fact, last week was again pretty quiet. So I think the person who carries the bell at the end of the day, unless things change in the next few weeks, which of course they may well, is the one who has been consistently cautious and only taken those trades which were valid and not trying to find something that isn't there. All right, so we've got 3 weeks to go in the trading challenge, so we are halfway. Still plenty of time to be successful. I think it may well be somebody who comes from behind this time and who wins it, but let's see. I'm not going to make any prejudgments. Right, so let's run through our pairs. It shouldn't be a very long call today because of the fact that many of these instruments are doing very little. But I'm just going to comment really on the technical analysis side. I will avoid talking strategy as much as possible. Because I'm trying to stay strategy neutral here. We've got quite a few people in the challenge trading their own strategy. Okay, so Euro USD on weekly, we're still very much inside of that channel. We have the possibility of an M pattern stacking up here for those of you who are trading the WM patterns. Let's wait and see what happens this week. We'll know more at the end of this week. On daily, however, last week we saw the market come back inside of our channel, and not only that, but on Thursday we had a close inside the previous retracement waves price territory, which of course indicates to us that this is now a weak. So, and not only is it weak, but it's not a valid potential M pattern either, and it's not a channel trade either because we are back inside of the channel. So nothing doing here on the Euro USD. Certainly not for core strategies. Right, cable again, very much inside of the channel. On weekly, we've got we had a break in the trend line here, so dynamic supports now potentially turned into resistance. Certainly, last week's candle was quite an interesting one. So I've kind of jumped the gun a little bit here by showing this next bearish wave. Obviously, we could only do that once this high is isolated. But in any event, as long as you understand what I'm looking at over here, that and the reason why I've done that. So in reality, our channel might be a little bit wider, but that is the top of the channel, very much inside of it. No WM patterns either. On daily, likewise, you know, we spoke about that previous false breakout there. We had the breakdown in sequentiality of cyclicity. We had a bullish overlay. And then we've seen the market come back down to test the support level once again. And so far, the test has failed. That support level at the moment is holding. Certainly it held on Friday. And look, it's still early in the day today, but let's wait and see what happens there. Either way, if we do get a bearish breakout here outside of the channel, fair enough. We can start looking to trade on the lower time frames for those folks who are trading those lower time frame strategies. Dollar yen, we saw that high isolated already a week ago. So still in that, sorry, the end of last week, I beg your pardon. We've had that high isolated, and as a result, we are definitely in a retracement wave here on the dollar yen. That retracement through the course of last week, we've seen the market come back down to this support level here. It did actually close just inside of that support level, as you can see on Thursday, but it isolated that low as well on Friday. So the fact that it's closed outside of the channel here is still telling us that even though it managed to get through that support level and was a sign of some weakness there on Friday, it did close back outside of the channel again. So we are still very much, you know, in a technical trend here, even though we've seen some weakness creep in. But at this stage, it's still technically a resumption of that preceding bullish trend. USD Swiss last week, look at that, came straight back deep inside of that channel. So it's just one of those things, I guess. Where we just want to check something here. Yeah, absolutely. It's still technically trending. The cyclicity is still intact here, but that close inside the preceding wave's price territory and therefore also inside of our 4-wave HDC channel is a sign of significant bullish weakness. And of course, that very strong bearish retracement wave through the early part of last week has really kept us out of this market entirely. It also meant that we had an impulse followed by an impulse. So any kind of bullish trend that we were looking at here previously was definitely over all the way from the 5th already. So that's something that disqualified this instrument for us when it came to looking to trade any more of those lovely core strategy trades that we've had over the last while on this currency pair. Moving on to USD CAD, which is a little bit more interesting. Looking again on the weekly time frame, we had that high isolated last week. We spoke about this a week ago, looking at how this resistance level continued to be respected, and the fact that it did that again last week, as well as ringing that high, is still a sign that we've got some bearish strength over here. Nothing massive. I mean, here you can see over 1, 2, 3, 4 for the 4 preceding weeks, it's been in a retracement. So last week showed some bearish intention, but let's see. And as a result of that, I know that 1 or 2 of you who look to trade a little bit more aggressively, not waiting for that the high to be isolated. It took a bearish trade there on Friday morning because of the bearish impulse candle over here. Right. So, Dina, you've asked a question. Sorry, when I do look at the questions, it might be a little while after I've spoken about that currency pair. So please just specify what instrument you're looking at, what currency pair. All right. So, but apart from that, here on daily, we are obviously very much inside of the channel. And as a result, no lower time frame stuff available to us at all. Right, so moving on to the last of our majors and minors, just look at weekly first on the Aussie. Very little change, definitely in a retracement wave, but deep inside of this range. No valid patterns for us at all. Nothing doing at certainly nothing that we can actually use to then drop down to the lower time frame. And of course, this is what it looks like on the daily, which has been for the last week absolutely flat. So no trading there for us at all. And the Kiwi, also look at weekly first. Very similar picture. Last week's candle, look at that, just a doji basically, and similar picture to the Aussie, just going absolutely sideways through the whole course of last week. So definitely an instrument to have stayed away from. Right, so moving into our yen crosses on weekly first on the euro yen. We spoke about this last week with that low having been ringed with the preceding week's bullish impulse candle. So this was definitely something that folks were looking at to keep trading, but it hasn't really panned out. And certainly looking at today's bearish move over here, again, you can see that any kind of intent that the market has shown us across these instruments has really fizzled out over the last week. And that's why it's so important to protect downside. Always make sure that you are following the rules with your trailing stops so that we always limit that downside. So when the market starts messing around like this, we can actually just exit. Even if it's for a small loss, it doesn't matter. Rather, make sure that you get out for a small loss than chase after something that's actually not there. GBP yen last week absolutely came back down inside of the channel. So even though we had that bullish breakout the preceding week. The GBP weakness over here has definitely shown itself all of a sudden. Technically, this is still a trend, as you know. Cyclicity is still intact, but with last week's close back inside the preceding retracement waves price territory, there's really nothing we can do with that. So dropping down to daily as well, strong bearish retracement wave straight back inside of that of the channel here on Tuesday it was. So just step straight back from the market. You'll see that one of the last trades that this trader had, I think this was the last trade that they had on the table, was actually stopped out with the advanced targeting on that was obviously last week Tuesday. Yeah. So that's closed out the last of those trades, and I see he's still not doing anything else at the moment. Yeah, so no other trades going at the moment. Just a sign that he's doing the right thing. You know who you are. Good job there. Right, Swiss yen, firstly on weekly, very much inside of the channel. Nothing more for us, even though we had a bullish impulse wave here and it's closed above the previous wave high. We still haven't even got to that resistance level to test it. Dropping down to daily, well, yes, we had a bullish breakout on Friday. So looking to see what happens there. Looking to see what happens today in particular with that daily breakout. We had the 4-wave channel breakout already on Thursday. So I know I shouldn't be talking strategy, but there you can see. So it looks like that would have actually just been with a 3-6 rule, that's out. So just talking a bit of trade management there. That actually was stopped out, as would have been stopped out for a small loss this morning. Right, not supposed to be talking strategy. Moving on to CAD yen weekly first. Similar picture, except for this one, we spoke about it before, where we actually had that a failed test here on weekly. So we know that this trend is definitely over already, back inside of the channel. It's over, folks, because this was not a phase 1 impulse wave, because it failed to close above the preceding wave's high. So retracement, we spoke about that a week ago, but last week's candle isolated and ringed that high as well. So definitely done and dusted. And the daily time frame really reflects that too. So last week just came straight back inside of the channel. There's really nothing doing for us here either. So you can see this is has become a really quiet time for us. Aussie yen on weekly already had that. We've seen that retracement. Last week also ringed that high. Definitely a breakdown in sequentiality of cyclicity. So that's that. Nothing left for us to do here on trending strategies. And we've been inside of the channel here on daily for some time. And last week was just really nothing at all. Kiwi yen, likewise, there's not much to say really. For those folks trading overlays, certainly you'd be in trades here, but in our core strategies, everything is done and dusted. Right, so Euro crosses, starting with Euro GBP last week, showing that that pound weakness over here. So this is not so much Euro strength as GBP weakness. Bullish impulse candle and impulse wave. This is definitely a bullish engulfing candle, and that's why I've already got my bullish wave over here. So there's no way that that bearish wave is not over. Most certainly is. So bullish impulse candle, impulse wave here on weekly, but back inside of the channel. So nothing doing there at all for us. That's what it looks like on daily, straight back inside of the channel. There's really no tradable pattern here at all for core strategies. The only kind of thing we'd be looking for potentially over here, obviously going forward, is ranging strategies. Euro Swiss, yeah, we've spoken about that already, except that last week's bearish candle ringed the high. So again, only ranging strategies tradable here. Anything trending is over and done with. Uh, on the daily time frame, yes, we now have a bearish breakout. This is one of my least favorite pairs. Just double check our close here. So 0029. Yeah, so Friday did in fact close outside of the channel. So this was certainly tradable this morning. You'd be dropping down to a lower time frame to look for something there, but yeah, it looks like that's still happening right now. We don't like to get into these extreme moves unless we can obviously protect our downside. So reward to risk ratio being much more important than anything else. Okay, so moving on. EuroCAD, my second least favorite instrument, ring that low on weekly last week. So that bearish trend now definitely over and done with. Although, beg your pardon, so it's ring that low. It's not actually technically over and done with. We need to just wait for the full breakdown and sequentiality of cyclicity. Just want to confirm that. 886 low. Yeah. Okay. So scrap that. I just want to correct myself there. Even though this is showing distinct weakness, technically the trend is not yet over, even though it looks like it may well be coming to an end, but we don't want to second guess the market. And that's what it looks like on daily. Pull straight back inside of the channel. There's nothing tradable here for us, even on my ranging strategies as yet. We need to wait and see what happens here. If we do have a any kind of well, if we have a bearish retracement wave that comes to an end, then yes, we will potentially be looking to trade this as a or ranging strategy on this time frame. But otherwise, yeah, you can see that this is definitely not trending on daily. And on weekly, at best, we are in a borderline trend, and even if it is one that's very weak. All of that strength we've seen, well, we were looking at beforehand, has definitely come to an end. Right, we spoke about this before as well. This has also now given us a second retracement wave, even though we had a single candle wave here. So we already have had our breakdown in cyclicity previously, as we discussed in previous weeks. We've now had this low ring, so it's confirming that effectively. And yeah, that's we should know that now. Definitely, any kind of bearish movement is confirmed as over for now. Technically inside of a range here, nothing else to do on this pair. So on Friday, I see we also did have a breakout though of our four wave channel. So there's no valid W pattern here as yet. Doesn't look like, yeah, well, maybe we will get one, but with that breakout, yeah, certainly this potentially can be traded in a bullish direction using lower time frames. So we are outside of our four wave channel, still inside of the three wave channel. So even though this can be traded in a bullish direction on the lower time frame, I would also just be careful, just be watching out, because we're not seeing any kind of real commitment in the directional bias of the market. All right, last of the euro crosses. What are we looking at here on Euro NZD? So a little bit more obvious than on the euro, no question about it. So we have also got this bullish engulfing bar from last week. So even though it's possible that that might prove to be non-relevant, that is true. If the market continued lower during the course of this week without making a higher high, that is a possibility, obviously. But at the moment, it's more likely, probabilistically, that this is going to continue going further up. So either way, we have had a complete bearish breakdown, and it's actually moving in a bullish direction, even though it is still inside of our channels. And on daily, yeah, even though we had an impulse wave last week with that bullish impulse candle on Wednesday, still inside of both channels. So, nothing doing at the moment at all for us here. All of our overlays as well have been traded. So we are deeper inside of these channels now. It means we really are doing almost nothing. Right. So Moving into our pound crosses, again, you see that GBP weakness with a bearish engulfing bar, and also confirmed as an impulse wave with that lower low, lower close, deep inside of the channel, but a complete breakdown in that bullish cyclicity that we had before. I mean, this bullish trend has been going on for several months now. Last week broke that trend completely with a bearish phase one wave or impulse wave following that preceding bullish impulse wave. So a complete breakdown in bullish cyclicity over here, back inside of the channel, nothing doing on that time frame. And you can see here on daily what that looked like all the way from from Tuesday, I beg your pardon, through to Friday. Four bearish impulse candles in a row, in fact. Very much back inside of the channel, and also bullish phase one followed by bearish phase one, complete breakdown in cyclicity. So this is definitely a ranging market until it proves otherwise. If anything, we may well see a bearish breakout at some point. Obviously, if we see these channels being broken out of, then that will change the assessment that I'm giving you today. But at the moment, inside of these ranges. Okay, GBP CAD, same thing here on the weekly. Last week's candle as well, a strong bearish impulse candle giving us an impulse wave as well. So that's high being ringed. Nothing really to do here on this time frame, but with that strong bearish movement last week, we actually had a close outside on Friday here on the daily time frame. So technically, yes, that was a breakout, but look what's happening today. Straight back inside of the channel. Yeah, it's really, unless we have a bearish continuation over here, once again, nothing really that we can do. However, having said that, if today closes anything like it is now, then certainly we would have a ranging trade here, but that's strategy talk. Right, GBP Aussie weekly inside channel, ringed that high, definitely into a bearish wave here inside of the channel, but it's already deep inside of the channel, so all of our overlays are done and dusted. And here on the daily time frame, we were looking at this a week ago. We were talking about the fact that there potentially might have been a bullish resumption here. It was respecting the support level at that time. That, of course, broke down completely with this bearish impulse candle, came straight back inside of this channel. We did have a nice little overlay over here, which should take profit during the course of last week. One of our few trades, but otherwise, there's nothing left for us to do. Nothing left on this one at all. Last of the pound crosses, GBP NZD. We are still outside of our full wave channel over here. So last week, yes, it did isolate and ring that high. It's still respecting the support level, however. So this is one of the more tradable currency pairs that we're actually looking at, but this is still a retracement wave. And remember, for impulse strategies, we can't do anything with that. We'd have to wait until the end of this week before we can do anything else here. However, if you're a continuation type trader, then perhaps not if you're trading that on weekly. But on daily, nothing doing. There's absolutely nothing here for us. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so we had an overlay which gave us a small profit over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on Monday. Okay. Right. So looking now into the last 5 or 6 of our currency pairs, CAD Swiss on weekly, also that high now ringed, very strong bearish candle here, impulse candle as well. So back into a retracement. This is still trending, most definitely. We have not had a breakdown in cyclicity, so that is true, but we are in a retracement or phase 2 wave. Here on the daily time frame, deep inside both of our channels, came straight back. So, this is typical of what happened last week, isn't it? I mean, you folks have all seen this. All this would have done is kick you out of any trades that you were in. And since then, you should be sitting on your hands waiting for the market to prove itself. Aussie Swiss, similar picture. but again, another high being ringed over here with last week's very strong bearish impulse candle. It gave us a weekly overlay, hit a take profit here of about 0.58%, if I remember correctly. So another overlay winner there, but that's it on a weekly. That, however, did give us that strong bearish impulse candle on weekly. Here on daily gave us a breakout on Wednesday. So that's our 4-wave channel, obviously. And that has led to some trading activity. So I'm not going to elaborate on that any further, but you may well be in a bearish trade here if you're trading the lower time frames. Right, so that's one of the few core trades that we've actually got running at the moment. Aussie CAD, spoke about that before. Nothing really has changed, although I think this should have been updated. That low has now been actually ringed. So let's just do that quickly. It doesn't change the dimensions of our channel at all. So deep inside of a channel here, if you're a WM trader, then you might well be looking for a potential M pattern here at the end of this week. Let's wait and see what happens there. On daily, yep, this is, we spoke about this before. We did have an overlay over here, nothing doing. You can see it's actually respected the preceding wave high completely. So phase two, and now, you know, we are not in a trend, so we can't say anything about this bearish wave that we're currently in at all. Nothing doing here. And the only thing we might get here is a bullish overlay, but otherwise, until and if we get a breakout, we're not doing anything there. Aussie Kiwi on a weekly, we spoke about this before. Last week was just an absolute nothing burger. So we had that strong bearish candle the week before, following a strong bullish candle. So if you put these two together, it's just basically a high test on this resistance level. So definitely, even though we had a close outside, it closed back inside, as we discussed a week ago. And last week is just that pathetic inside bar. So yeah, we have nothing really doing here. Technically, this is still a bullish trend, but not showing any directional bias at the moment. And if you understand multi-time frame analysis, then you will also know that that bullish movement is completely, or that wave is over on weekly, because the trend is over on daily. So there we saw retracement, phase two. Yes, we did get an overlay, which should actually still be running, in fact. Actually, no, we would have taken the profit this morning on this. So yeah, that's it. Nothing else for us to do on this one. You can see we are deep inside of these channels once again. Right, so coming up to the last two, folks. Also, if you've got any questions, Dino, if you just want to elaborate on your question earlier, please, about a single candle wave on weekly, which currency pair that was? One of the first ones, I know. All right, so on Kiwi Swiss, last week we had a bearish engulfing candle and it closed below the preceding wave's low. So that is definitely a bearish wave, and the preceding bullish wave is definitely over. We can say that even though we haven't got a third candle isolating that high, it has to. So, I mean, just to give you guys a little bit, and Dina, maybe this will just maybe also answer this for you in term, on just on another currency pair. If the market continues lower, then clearly that high will be ringed. If the market comes up and makes a higher high, if it comes up during the course of the week and gives us an inside bar over here, then we will potentially have a single candle wave, especially if it carries on the week after. But yeah, the fact that this is not only an impulse candle but an impulse wave already shows us that we 99% certain that that's the way it looks. It is possible, however, that might change. Yes, and you would have also potentially jumped into a short overlay here for those of you who are doing that. Right, Kiwi Swiss on daily, we are still outside of this channel over here. So this is another one of these pairs where potentially you could be trading this on the lower time frame obviously in a bearish direction. It is also, and has been, what was, I should say, a valid M pattern. Excuse me, some sip of water. But yes, we are outside of the channel. And also, interestingly, last week, Friday, closed below the preceding wave low. So quite a strong bearish movement over here, no question about it. And I would say that you would already have been looking to trade this earlier in the week on the lower time frame in a bearish direction. So let's, at the moment, that is still valid. So you can look to trade that for those of you who are trading the trending strategies. The Kiwi CAD, however, slightly different story, still deep inside of that channel on weekly, but last week did in fact confirm that as a ringed low. So remember, with an inside bar, it's not ringed until it makes, if it's a low, until it makes a higher high. So last week's candle, which is the second candle in a row after that low was made, ultimately ringed that low. So that bearish wave is definitely over into a bullish wave. This is it's a bearish high test candle though as well, which on the daily time frame looked like that. We spoke about that preceding breakdown and sequentiality of cyclicity, but so nothing really doing over here, nothing tradable. Very wide channel, which is typically where your WM patterns may step in, but we don't have that at the moment either. So really absolutely nothing to do, although 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh yeah, we spoke about this the preceding Friday, which was the second. We hit our target on that bullish overlay, but that's it. Nothing doing there. And that's it, folks. 28 currency pairs and very, very little going on. Let's just go quickly back to Euro USD and have a look on weekly. So if you were referring to this bullish candle here, Dina, then no, because it's not actually an engulfing candle. For it to be a single candle wave, potentially it could have been had last week's low been lower than the preceding week. But as it happens, the high is lower. So that's the ring low there. It is a bullish impulse candle, that is true, but it's not a single candle wave. All right, folks, awesome. Any other questions as we go into this week? In summary, I guess what I would say is we're really sitting on our hands mostly at the moment. We do have a few trades running, but it's very, very little opportunities. Those, a couple of them, it's not looking very, the movement's not looking that strong, even though technically they're on the right side of our rule set to get into one or two of those trades. You know, I don't have very high hopes for them at the moment, but that doesn't matter because we're not here to predict the market. We're here to work our edge. And that's all we really need to do. Remember the 3 pillars. You need to have an edge, preferably a convex edge, and you work that edge using the law of large numbers. That allows you to dominate over uncertainty, and it basically means that you are living by the maxim that even Mark Douglas expresses in his book Trading in the Zone, that you can't know what's going to happen next in the market. He basically says anything can happen. We know that anything can happen, which means you cannot know what is going to happen. But his second point is that you don't need to know what is going to happen next in order to be a consistently profitable and therefore successful trader. So I'll leave you with that final thought. So Muda, please explain how to work the stop loss from weekly ATR. Muda, this is our Monday morning market review. I'm not talking strategy here at all. If you do want me to talk about that and how we use trailing stops and so on, that is a subject that I'm happy to talk about on either our Wednesday or Thursday training. So we will make a note of that, and please do make sure to attend on Wednesday or Thursday, but it's something that I will get into to then. Just trying to stay away from too much strategy specific stuff here, including trade management techniques. So I hope that's okay with you. All right, folks. Yep, Muna, definitely watching from the sidelines. Absolutely. Quite right too. I'm sure Most of you folks who've been part of the academy and been on my training over the last few years are doing exactly that, just sitting on your hands and watching from the sidelines. So it's the right time to do it. It's a pity that every time we have one of these trading challenges, so well, certainly the last couple of times, last year and now this one, we are in pretty quiet trading conditions. But the fact of the matter is, the most successful traders are not the ones necessarily that make the most money when conditions are easy. They're the traders who lose the least money, who lose the least money when conditions are more challenging. And they certainly are, I'd say, challenging at the moment. But if you know how to sit on your hands and do nothing when that is called for, well, then it's not that challenging, I suppose. You know, there's time for you to go and play a few extra rounds of golf during the course of the week, which is something I intend to do this week. All right, folks. So I hope that's been useful for you. Remember, Wednesday, we are having our open training. Thursday is our members only trading. Look forward to chatting to you guys then. Perfect. You're welcome. Have an awesome week, guys. Chat to you later. Bye for now.